who can who has you know
Clarence.
clearance and foreign nationalities, not Egyptian national, not Palestinian nationality.
What does that make you feel like to have to always qualify things with except for Palestinians? Except for Palestinians.
We lived our lives that way all the time, all the time. We there was like they were surrounding us from every side. That's why we say this, because also the world is dealing with us on that base, on that thing. That Palestinians are different from any other people. They're as they're dealing with us as a second level of human beings. That's why.
What does that feel like when you're a child? When do you have like the full awareness that you're different because of your where you were born? How old were you when you first realized it that this is different? How come everybody else can move freely, but I can't because I'm Palestinian?
I guess I'm used to that because I born with this. So I never thought of this. I never thought of this when I was a kid actually because it was like the normal life that we have. But of course, I heard about the freedom of moving for the people outside. For example, when I tried to go to the West Bank, I went to the West Bank before when I was a little kid, and I know that, as my father told me, that the way to the West Bank is just half an hour or just an hour. Yeah, just an hour. But in fact, because of the checkpoints and because of many crossings that we have to pass to reach the West Bank, the road took almost all the day. So I was wondering at that time, why? Why should we have to live like this? But in fact, I'm telling you, I'm used to that. Those who are living in a cage all of their lives, they will think that being free is like a trap. So
What do you mean?
I mean that I'm living in a cage all of my life. In order to get out, I need a permission. And in order to travel, I need to wait a lot of time. For example, like I told you, when I wanted to travel to Egypt before, I had to wait almost a year to get the permission to get out. So you can
And
consider, yeah,
remind me, when you were trying to do this, it was for medical reasons, correct?
yeah,
That you were trying to, and you had to get permission from the Israelis and the Egyptians.
mainly the Egyptians, mainly the Egyptians. I consider them partners actually in this. Mainly the Egyptians. Right now,
Ex-
right now during this war, yeah, we have mainly the Israelis with the Egyptians, yeah. But before it was mainly the Egyptians.
But the Egyptians just followed what the Israelis told them to do, basically,
Yeah, of course.
because
Of course.
yeah. So as
Maybe.
you as you grow up and now have a child of your own, did you ever question having a child? Like my child will be raised in a cage just like I was?
I thought about this many times, especially in this war. Actually, I was regretful that I had a child. Because living in such danger will force you to think like this. That what is his fault? Why did I brought him? Why did I bring him to this world to live such danger? I asked myself many times this question. I was regretful to have a child. Except when I managed to get him out. That's that's the time when I felt relieved that he is right now away from this danger. And actually, there is something also that makes me feel more relieved that he will get the Egyptian nationality from his mother. So at least he will, he will be more free than me. Yeah,
Mm. But still, just because he has the Egyptian nationality, he's still Palestinian, right? So he's still, even in Egypt, life is not easier just
of
because
course,
he's.
of course, because it will tell in his ID that he was born in Gaza. Even it's written, or even if it's written that he's an Egyptian, but it will always his ID would say that his father is Palestinian and he was born in Gaza. So of course the treatment with him will be different from the original Egyptian.
It's so hard to like wrap my brain around this because
Just a second. Do you hear that? Do you know what is that? Those are people who are
parents.
those are people who are injured, screaming out of pain. And because there are no beds inside of the hospital, they are just sleeping on the floor, out of
On the ground.
on the ground outside the hospital.
Were they injured in by a weapon, by a bomb, by are they sick? Tell me, like
Mostly injured by
what are you seeing?
mostly most of the injuries here are because of the strikes and their artillery shelling. Yesterday, of course, you heard about targeting the school in Der Belash, causing more than 36 people were killed because of that. Right now, and more than 100, 150 people were injured. Most of them, you know, they got amputations. So it's really hard. It's really hard with no medicines, with no medications, with no painkillers. Can you imagine the pain that they will have?
So, this is one of the reasons that I think for you to rely on people outside of there, to rely on me, to rely on Becca to generate money. Because I feel like what you have to do when you leave home or when you leave the apartment to go there, it's just witnessing more and more trauma over and over and over and not being able to do anything. You can't, you know, I saw a homeless guy yesterday on the street. I think I told you last week I saw a homeless woman just right up the street here. And there's very little I can do. Call the police, but there's very little I can do. So it feels helpless to watch people suffer. And this is another level of suffering that the mind doesn't even comprehend. And I just wonder what it does to you every day to go there and to see it. Our situation is unique because I'm able to try the best I can to be the container for all of it. Like when we talk, you leave it with me, but there's only so much you can leave with me. And I think nobody really understands the level of suffering that Palestinians are going through, that you're going through, without an injury.
How about with energy?
How about with an injury? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking about this all the time. For example, yesterday in the massacre that happened in the school. Okay, what if I was there with my family? What if we were evacuated to the school? Because I already lost two of my cousins there. Yeah. So it can happen. It can happen anytime. It's only because of Allah protection I didn't got injured until now, as my as well as my family. But it can happen anytime. I'm not excluding myself from this fate. At that time, I don't know what will happen to me. I really don't know. Will I be able to take it, to bear that? Because I know a lot of injured people who wish to die
And
rather than being, suffering out of pain. Because there's no medication. There are no medications in Gaza. There's no painkillers. There's no way to treat them, you know. So it's
I think as you're talking, I
okay.
do you want to stop?
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay.
Just an small accident happened, but nothing serious.
There was a father carrying around the body of his child. He was carrying the body of his child without a head.
Yeah, no, I know about him. He was asking people, did you see the head of my son? He was asking people. He said, "My son, my son is white and has a short hair. Did you see his head anywhere?" You know how much it's difficult. It's too difficult. It's too difficult for him.
I wonder what it feels like to be in the cage and know that the whole world is watching
Yeah.
and isn't capable of doing anything, or
The problem that everything is clear, that everything is, what can I say? It's happening in front of the world, and there are millions of photos and videos that shows that there is a genocide happening inside of Gaza, and yet the world cannot do anything.
do you believe that? Do you believe that the world can't do anything? Do you believe that the people of the world have become so afraid, so lulled into a sleep, lulled into like a hypnotic rhythm where we're too afraid to do, if there were masses of us like in Yemen, where there's a million people every Friday that take to the streets, why can't there be a million people in every country?
Yeah.
And I've said this before. I'm an American. It's our tax dollars that pay for this, that are paying for the weapons used to cause that child screaming, to cause that father. How I've told you at times that I definitely feel like this is some kind of miracle that I, out of 8 billion people, get to sit and have these conversations with you. And how do you think of it? What goes through your mind? How are you able to sit here with me and patiently tell me what's going on when it's my country? There's a child, there's somebody screaming in the back. Like,
In the end, it's not your fault. It,
no.
no, it's not your fault. At least you are expressing your support to us. At least you are doing something to help us. It's your government's fault. That's what I believe. And I know that the people can do something, but they are imagining themselves helpless, but they can do something. It's the propaganda that brainwashed them to the degree that they feel themselves, you know, to the degree that they feel themselves helpless, unable to do anything. But this idea is consuming them and preventing them to, to stand with the right, to stand against this genocide. And this is the point from this propaganda, for this is the point from these governments and politics and everything to brainwash those people to make them believe that they are unable to do anything, to make them believe that the governments are much stronger than the people, the governments that can decide instead of them.
Mhm.
Even those who support Palestine, who supports our case, they can do something if they want to do something. But you have to move. You have to act. You have to go and try at least. Not only saying by words. Go and try. Do something. While you know that your government is not standing with the right. I don't want to say any other words. How can you let this government control you anymore?
So some of the things that I recommended was reaching out to the Israeli group, standing together. I've suggested going and volunteering for myself.
Yeah.
And then you say it's too dangerous.
I wasn't talking.
Is it that I don't, is it that I don't
Yeah.
understand how dangerous it is? Is it that I don't really grasp? Are you afraid I don't really grasp the danger and what comes along with that?
Okay, first,
Or is it that you think that I don't understand how dangerous the Israelis are, how evil they are?
why I know that they don't care whether you are American or Palestinian or any other nationality. You saw what happened to the American activist before for 17 years. I don't remember exactly. Rashid Khoury. You know Rashid Khoury was killed
Yes.
because of a bulldozer who stepped on her face on her body.
Who rolled over her body?
Yeah.
Who drove over her? Yes.
Yeah. And it was clear that she is American, and they knew that she is American, and yet they did that. They killed her, and it wasn't a war time at this time, but yet they killed her with a cold blood. How about this time? They will consider you as a threat. That's why I told you it's too dangerous to come to Gaza. You have to be like willing, or you have to be like ready, prepared, to face death if you want to come to Gaza. Not only depending on your passport or your nationality, because they don't care about this.
Well, that's why I recommended that if a lot of us did this, if there were hundreds of thousands of us that did this, that something has to stop it because it's not going to stop on its own.
It will be a very difficult mission. Very difficult.
Yeah.
You have to cross many obstacles in the road, mainly the Egyptian obstacles, to reach the crossing point. Or if you want to come through Israel, of course they will not let you to go through Israel to reach that point. No, they will not allow to you. So it's not easy. It's very difficult.
I know, but it's worth trying anything at this point. There's nothing else that's going to stop this government. And I think if we the people, the free people of this world don't do something, we can't wait anymore. I can't see another father carrying a child with no head. I cannot listen to a girl screaming in the background. Like something has to be done. And I do think it's going to take the will of the people and the strength and the courage of the people to do something. Because it's been almost 10 months of this.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
No, I know. I think I just worry for you that it can't last much longer. Because mentally, I don't think you or anybody can take any more of this.
Of course, after 10 months of this, any normal person will be mentally collapsed, to be evacuated more than 6 times, to live in such danger and being worried about your family, about yourself all the time, to suffer to find food, to find water, to set a fire for the food every day, every day. Anyone will be collapsed after this. I'm trying to be strong for my family because there are a lot of people who need me. And I'm telling you, without them, without knowing that they need me, I would rather give up since long time. But it's too hard to handle all of that. It's too hard. At the same time, I'm okay. I managed to get my son out of this danger, but at the same time, I'm still worrying about him. And it's, believe me, it's really hard to know that I might not be able to hug my son again because there is a big chance for that not to happen. Anytime I can, anytime I can get killed. Anytime.
Yeah.
Every time I see a child, every time I see injured child or dead child, I thank Allah that I managed to get my son out. But in the same time, my heart is broken for them because every time I imagine my son in their place, and believe me, being a father is being a father in such time is the most difficult thing. Okay, because at that time you're not living for yourself, you're living for your children. So anything will happen to them, it will hurt you directly.
Everybody could have shared. Y'all want to get your body.
I was talking to a friend about this for 2 days, and I told him, why didn't they just let all the children to get out of Gaza? And then, okay, you can do whatever they want to us, but let the children out of this. Get them out of Gaza and do whatever you want. We can take it. As an adults, we can take it. But what is the fault of those children? They don't have any fault in this. But they want to kill those children. They want to eliminate those children because they know that those are the generation, the new generation. And you see how much most of the victims are children. They're targeting family, even when they are following a resistance. They wait you know, until he reached the house, and they killed him with the entire house, destroyed the entire house with all the residents inside above his head. So they are
Yeah.
intentionally
Yeah.
targeting children.
Yeah. Yeah. I see a lot of posts. I see how the resistance handles the opposite. So when I see there are IDF, IOF soldiers who get injured, they come and get them with a helicopter, and the resistance is filming it the entire time in clear sight of a helicopter and doesn't take the helicopter out. They actually follow the rules of war or the rules of Islam.
Even with their hostages.
Yeah,
But in the other side, you can
they
see what,
torture.
yeah.
They torture them in the most vile, sick, Holocaust level. This is, to me, what we're watching is an actual Holocaust happen. These people that had this done to them or to their generation, to their ancestors, they're doing the same thing. I don't know where we've seen that in our society, except for occupiers, people who owned slaves. They're still the ones committing the same type of vile treatment onto people. Because I think what we're witnessing is not just, it's not limited to just Palestinians. It's actually should terrify any Arab, any Mexican, any brown or black person.
Yeah.
That the true Zionist project is about supremacy.
Exactly. Can you imagine such mentality to rule you?
No. Yeah. Yes.
The chance to
Yes.
rule you, to decide for you,
Yes.
they will not be merciful.
No. No. And I think that's what people don't understand. I think they have the way that we've all been programmed is we've all been separated out by race or gender.